Nutrition basics. In this video, we're going to go through two things. First is the nutrition pyramid, and second is our 3 nutrition rules. So let's take a look at the nutrition pyramid. As you can see, there are a number of layers to the pyramid, and importance is based on the base being the most important and getting less important as we move our way up. So there are 6 different tiers. We have adherence at the bottom, then we have calories, macronutrients, that's our carbs, fats and protein, then we have micronutrients, meal timings, and finally supplements. Supplements are often where people start to focus when they're looking at getting in shape, when actually they make very little difference if you don't have the tiers below in place. During this course and during your time at our gym, we're going to focus primarily on these bottom 3 layers of the pyramid: adherence, calories, and macronutrients. Because if we can get these right, and we can make some really impressive progress. Alright, so the nutrition rules. Now we know it's easy to get lost and confused when it comes to nutrition. There's loads of confusing, conflicting information out there. Lots of people with different advice. So we like to make things nice and simple here at P1. That's what nutrition here is all about. It's about simplicity. There are no fads, no crash diets, no dirty bulk, no weird supplements, and no restrictions. Just a few simple, very effective, flexible guidelines that are easy to put into action and even easier to adjust to suit your goals, your personal preferences, and your lifestyle. It's important to get these 3 nutrition rules right, because essentially getting your nutrition right so you can improve your strength, body composition, health, and your performance can be broken down into these 3 really simple nutrition rules. So, rule number 1. 90% of the time, make your meals or have a variety of single ingredient foods. This is what that looks like, and it means having stuff like steak, sweet potatoes, peppers. They all have 1 ingredient. So have something like that for dinner, instead of a ready meal packed with chemicals and preservatives and who knows what else. Another way to phrase this could be to just eat real food. And the reason we want to do this is because good quality nutrition gives us energy, it satisfies our hunger better, and it improves our health, and there are loads of other benefits too. So you want to aim to include lots of good quality single ingredient foods and not have your diet dominated by junk food and processed stuff. Rule number 2. Be flexible 10% of the time. You should definitely make sure that good quality whole foods dominate your daily intake. That's why 90% of the time we want to stick to eating single ingredient foods as part of our meals, but the other 10% of the time you can be flexible and pretty much eat whatever you want. So that's what this would look like. It's okay to have donuts, it's okay to have some junk food, and it's okay to just enjoy some of the not so great food that you love. I in particular love a bar of chocolate. Don't worry about having these things every now and then. Just make sure that A, they don't dominate your diet, and B, when you do have them, they fit into your calorie targets for the day. We're going to talk about calories and tracking your food later in a bit. But the reason we want them to fit into your calorie targets is so you don't massively overeat. Because if you overeat, you consume too many calories. And you know what I'm going to say? You're going to end up gaining unwanted body fat. And we know that to lose body fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. This means consuming slightly less calories than our body is burning. Then to build muscle, we need to be in a calorie surplus. So that's where we're going to be consuming slightly more calories than our body's burning. So we can give our body the building blocks it needs to grow. But within those targets, we can be flexible. We don't have to be on a clean eating diet all of the time. We can have that 10% of flexibility. We're big advocates of this approach because it allows you to enjoy your life and not feel like you're on a strict diet all the time, because nobody enjoys that. It means you can go and have some ice cream when you go to the cinema, Or you can have some of that birthday cake at your kid's birthday party. But all of this is reliant on rule number 3. Now this is a really important one. Rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every day. So macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates and fats. Now this is important because if you don't track, you can't possibly know if you're eating too much, too little, or even being consistent at all. And if you don't know that, then you can't realistically expect to get good long-term results. Like I said, the main reason for tracking is to see if your nutrition targets that have been set by your coach are actually working. And by that I mean, is eating this much food helping you reach your goal of building muscle or losing body fat? To start with, these targets from your coach or from the body scanner are going to be an educated estimate. They're just a starting point. But then when you check in with your coach or get your measurements done, we can see that maybe you need to eat a bit more or maybe eat a bit less, and we can make those adjustments. It's important to try and be as accurate and as consistent as possible. You can do this using an app called MyFitnessPal. Tracking your food allows us to monitor what you're eating and make adjustments in increasing or decreasing your calorie intake, so your progress never plateaus for too long. So as well as sticking to rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or have a variety of single ingredient foods. And rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. So you're also going to try and stick to rule number 3, which is to track your food intake and hit your calorie targets every day. An important note is that you're never going to be spot on to the exact gram or the exact calorie every day. But a good level of accuracy is within 100 to 150 calories. So if your daily calorie target is 2,500 calories, then anywhere between 2,400 and 2,600 calories is really good. You're never going to be spot on the exact calories, but being in the right ballpark is going to do the trick. So there are the 3 nutrition rules. We literally can't make it any simpler than that. Now it's not easy because there are lots of things that go into getting this right every day. There's a lot of habits, a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency. But that is as simple and straightforward as nutrition can be broken down to. So just those 3 things. And the reason it's just those 3 things is because it's easy to understand. It's straightforward to put into action, and most importantly, they work and they get the job done. They'll get you the results. And on top of that, as this is a really important part, you won't ever feel like you're dieting, because there's that flexibility, there's that room to make some changes without feeling like you've fallen off the wagon. There's room to enjoy some of the foods that you love, that you wouldn't typically class as healthy. So it's just those 3 simple nutrition rules as a nice easy start. Rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or a variety of single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. Rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every single day. Now there's just a couple of things that I want to add. When you start tracking, you'll find it a little bit tricky. So the first thing I want you to focus on is just hitting your calorie targets. Don't be worrying about the macros, the carbs, the fats, the proteins too much. Just hit your calorie targets. Then, once you've got that nailed down, aim for calories and protein and get those 2 things nailed down. Then, once you've got calories and protein, we can move on to hitting calories for protein, carbs and fats. If you really do struggle with this and you're finding it tough, or maybe just completely new to tracking, a way to making it a bit easier is don't even worry about hitting specific calorie or macro targets. Just get used to using the app, tracking your food and seeing how much you're eating each day, just to get a feel for a week or so. And once you feel comfortable with it, then go on to tracking your calorie targets and then your macro goals later on.